It is finally time to recap my very first market of 2026. I had seriously been looking forward to this year's MCCA State Cheerleading Competition for months. Last year's event still ranks #1 out of all the markets that I have ever attended, selling me out of all my inventory and making me over $3,000. If you're interested in watching last year's vlog, you can click one of the corners where I have the video linked, or check out the description for all the videos that relate to this state cheerleading competition. On Saturday, January 31st, I woke up at 4:30 a.m. and I left my house at 5:30 a.m. to begin setting up at 6:30 for the 14-hour long MCCA's State Cheerleading Competition. Based on what I had been told from the organizers, there would be approximately 1,200 cheer competitors and between 1,500 to 2,500 audience members attending the event that day. So yeah, it's sort of a huge deal and I get to be there. Hi, I'm Anna. I run a small business called Miss.a.Crochet where I crochet plushies to sell in person at events. I also sell my own patterns online and, I like to post on social media sometimes. If you're new here, welcome. I am so happy to have you in my little corner of the internet. And if you are a returning viewer, hi, how are you? Welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. Like I said before, I did this event last year. I got into this event after doing some more local and smaller scale cheerleading markets. I think I was introduced to the organizers of MCCA at STMA's Frosty Fest 2 years ago, a year ago. I don't remember, but yeah, I have dove headfirst into the cheerleading world and I absolutely love it. The booth fee for this event, I will admit, is a little bit steep at $300. Although, I don't know, I mean, $300 for a 14-hour event. I've seen some people pay more to be in events, or I've paid similar amounts to be in worse events. But it ended up being, I think, like $311 with like the online credit card fee, whatever. Considering last year I completely sold out, made over $3,000, I was perfectly fine paying a $300 booth fee. Cheerleading events are also legit like my favorite events to sell at now. Everybody there is so enthusiastic, kind. The vibes are incredible. I absolutely love the little pinning culture that cheerleaders have. If you don't know, they all like decorate little clothespins, and because they wear bows, it's a little game where you try and pin like a little clothespin with like, it could be a cute message like, oh, you're doing great. But they try and then secretly pin the little clothespins onto the bows that like the other cheerleaders are wearing. And so it's just super fun culture. Everybody is so incredible. I love seeing all the parents dress up like with the team colors and things like that. Something that wasn't maybe an absolute blast, about a month or so prior to this event, I had my Lyme's disease flare-up. I was diagnosed with Lyme's disease in May and I was having real bad arthritic issues in my hands in like end of December, January, where I didn't crochet for 3 weeks. I still was being creative or whatever, and you can check out that video, but I was not crocheting and I was stressed because I sold out last year, I think 4 hours before the market ended, and I didn't want to like, oh, sorry, I have way less inventory and I have to leave even earlier. I did end up emailing the event organizers, talked to them. They said if I had a similar-ish amount to what I had last year, we were good to go. I went through like a bunch of my own crochet collection. That's why this is looking a little sparse. I picked out a bunch of stuff. I ended up bringing almost the exact same amount of plushies I brought the year before. So I decided all is well, it will be okay. And then of course, then my hands started doing better and I crocheted even more. So it ended up being fine. Let's go to past me before the market and see each and every single dang plushie I brought with, plus some extras that I did crochet at the event, but you'll see that in like the more vloggy part. Hi, past Anna here. I am bringing 164 plushies worth a total of $3,353 to this market. I do have 2 whips that I will most likely complete tonight, but I'm gonna go through and show you all, well, a majority, not the duplicates, of my 164 plushies. So I'm about 4 short if you count the whips I'm gonna finish, but I'm really, really happy with that number. I did end up crocheting, I think it was like 70 something plushies between my last market, which was December 20th, and this market, which is January 31st. And I think that's pretty impressive. Also considering that I didn't crochet for like 2 weeks because I was having a Lyme's disease flare up. So I'm debating on what I want to show you first. Considering I did just tell you about kind of the new stuff that I crocheted, I think we will go through that. Then we're going to go through the plushies I took from my personal collection to sell, and then the plushies that were left over after my last cheerleading market. If you didn't watch my last video where I talked about some of my market prepping and, you know, market setup stuff, you wouldn't know that I have this empty trash can that I usually use for stuffing, but because I have so much stuffing, it doesn't fit right now, and I use it for plushies when I'm going through and like tagging them or when I'm showing them to you. So if you hear this garbage can getting tossed full of plushies, that's why. Starting off strong, we have a plushie I finished today, Friday, January 30th. This is a pattern by Raven Jig Co. My mom was the one that said I should make it. I was feeling uninspired. I didn't know what to make, so I let her scroll through all the patterns I have, found this one. She wanted me to make it. I've never made it before. I've owned the pattern for years. Never made it. I think it's called like the Bitsy Bug, or I don't know. It's an alliteration and one of the words is bug. But here she is, or here it is. I don't know its gender. In all of its glory. Pretty big. And so I am charging $35 for it. I have no clue how long it took me to make, and I have no clue how much yarn it took to make, and I don't really care. I'm just gonna get this out of the way. I batch crocheted 10 otters. I think I did it in a video. I sell my otters. I thought I sold them for 14. I think I actually sell them for 15, but I don't care enough to white out 10 tags and fix it. And they were really easy to batch crochet. So I have 10 of these guys. Another callback from the last video I posted, I have rats. I made 5 rats in that video. One of them is right there, but he is on reserve for one of my friends. But I made 5 rats, that gray one, this cream and brown, and then 2 white ones. And I sell my rats for $14 as well. I'm already second guessing the price of these guys, but I have a duck and a mallard. I pattern tested this forever ago. It is by the Cozy Stitch. I absolutely love these guys. I think they're super, super cute. And I have them for $35. I don't know. I'm maybe thinking I should switch it to $32. I do always bring white out to my market, so maybe I will have them set up for $35. And if they're not really getting looked at or they're getting picked up and put down, I will lower the price by a couple dollars. But I have these 2 little birdies. If you know me, you know I'm going to have turtles. This is not all of the turtles I have. I have more. These are just some of the more recent ones I've made. We have a nice cream, and I don't remember the name of the yarn, but I really like it. This little guy. They're so fuzzy. Teal and a sort of like a dark teal, almost bluish color. The same shell as that cream one, but with a light green body. We have the classic misty green, and I don't know what that's called. Midnights. Midnights. Nighttime, nightmare, my life. And I say that because my phone is dying. And I kind of maybe barricaded myself in this room. I'll show you. These are the plushies I showed you. The bin I'm going through. And the 2 other bins blocking the door. Don't mind the pieces of paper. That was when I was painting a little mural and I didn't want to actually paint the wall. My charger has been obtained. Up next, baby turtles. I have 2 with this light bluish teal body. This one has a variegated shell. This one just has a teal shell. I have one with a green variegated shell and green body. One with a dark green shell and variegated green body. Cream body, Midnight's shell, cream body, and that really pretty variegated to match one of the big ones. I also have the variegated green shell and a cream baby turtle, along with a Midnight's shell and very fuzzy teal baby turtle, and a cream body with a brown shell. I saw all of my baby turtles for $17 and all of my big turtles for $27. I have 3 leggy frogs, and I will have 2 more if I end up finishing them, but I sell my Sweet Snuggles Light leggy frogs for $11. So a little while ago, something sort of happened. I crocheted a custom octopus for a local customer's kid's friend's birthday, and I found this free octopus pattern online, and then I became obsessed. Now, the one that I did make for the birthday had like suction cups and things. I did not do that for these ones. I have these kind of basic octopi for $17 a piece. Here is a dark teal, light teal, 2 Midnights, 1 Sailor's Delight, an orange, purple, variegated purple, purple and pink. I think this one's like Pirate's Bounty or something. And then I do have another one somewhere, a sort of dark reddish one. Again, I sell all of those for $17 a piece. This will be the very first time I'm bringing them to market, and I am excited. Another item that I really became obsessed with that you know very well are penguins. Here I have 3 blue penguins, 3 purple penguins, 3 teal penguins, and yes, this is a new color combo, and yes, I love it. I have 5 gray penguins, and last but not least, I have 5 black fuzzy penguins. I believe that is a total of 19 penguins, all of which I sell for $14. I finished these 3 bunnies in my latest video when I was going through and finishing almost all of my whips. I have had these guys for a long while. I think I made them at the STMA market or a different market. I know I made them at a market and I just never finished them. All I needed to do was stuff them, sew their butts closed, and sew on their ears, and I did it. And I'm very happy to say I have 3 little bunnies that I will be selling for $14. Up next in all the things that I crocheted between my last market and this market, I have 3 one-of-a-kind items. I have a baby crab. This is my own pattern. No sew. Always does well. Don't ask me why. I sell these Bernat Velvet baby crabs for $8 a piece. I have an owl that I will be selling for $16. This is made with the same base pattern as the penguins, but it does require sewing and has a bit more details. As you can see, a fuzzy freaking flyby. But I have 1 owl, and I have 1 really ugly burgundy teddy bear because somebody really wanted a teddy bear because it is one of the cheerleading terms, and I think it's ugly. I don't like the pattern I use. I don't like the color. But I promised there'd be one there, and it's not like I'm just gonna not finish it. I'm gonna bring it and then hope somebody is less critical than I am. On to our last category within the subgenre of things I batch crocheted between markets. I have 4 chicks, 4 mallards, and 4 penguins. These are all birds from the Swinging Birds pattern. I just didn't make the swings because 1, I knew I was running out of time to batch crochet and do stuff. And 2, I always forget to leave a tail on them to sew them into the wings, to sew them into the wings, to sew them into the swings. So I just said, screw it. I'm just going to do this, and then I will have another kind of lower price item. I will be selling all 12 of these little baby birds for $8 a piece. And that is 1 out of 3 bins. Alrighty, my friends, these, I don't know why, I feel like I looked really scary. Alrighty, my friends, next we're going to go through all of the plushies that I picked out from my very own personal collection. Some of which I will be sad to part with, others, get them out. Starting off strong, we have a pattern test that I did for Crochet by Kelsey. The original pattern was for this little frog with overalls. I literally hate touching the overalls though because they're acrylic. I'm selling him for $30 because he's old, kind of old-ish. And then I have his, what I like to call his older sister in tutu. I did the same pattern with different yarn, or like, I think I used newer Bernat blankets when it was like nicer to crochet with. And I'm selling her for $32 just because she's huge compared to him. Up next, we have my never released Sahara collection, plus a bear. This is a group of patterns that I started working on years ago. Never finished because I don't remember. I think it was, I don't know why I never finished them. Anyways, I have this chubby alligator for, I think I'm selling them for $27. Yeah, same sort of price as my turtles and axolotls. I have a chunky lion. I'm a Leo, and so I love him, except I don't really like his face. So I guess I don't like him. An elephant who surprisingly might be my favorite. I just know that I will probably not be able to like use these plushies for any pattern release if I ever decide to finish them and like release them, because I crocheted them so long ago. My attention and everything, skill level alone, would be very different. We have a hippo. I love her tail. They remind me of the I don't remember, but like I'm a early 2000s kid, baby, child, I don't know what I was. And I remember like the viral video Animals That Float, and I was inspired by that to make these guys. I really hate the tiger and the way that his stripes turned out, but I sucked at color changing, and so then that's what I had to do. And I'm selling all those for $27. Here are 2 that I don't really want to part with. I have my very first pattern test for Mama Made Minis, which is this stunning cat. I mean, just like look at the details. Ugh. I am selling these guys for $45. I probably really should be doing more because Mama Made Minis patterns take me forever, but also I was pattern testing, so you know, that's probably why. Also, look at the buttocks. I totally forgot about that. But I have this kitty, and then I have this deer who I'm very much on the fence about, because we always say that my grandpa was reincarnated into a deer. There's a whole long story about it where like, yeah, anyways, and so then I'm like, oh, I really kind of want to keep it. Like, look, it's so cute. But at the same time, it just sits on my shelf, like way up there, and I never look at it. So I'm going to bring it with. It's so cute. I'm like, I could always just make another one, but I'm like, but this is the first one I made. And I have a different one that I'm selling. I'm selling this one that I really don't like, because I can't think of it. It's a Joann's brand. Also, I don't remember what I said for the price for that one that I showed you that I didn't like. I'm too lazy to go dig back in there. So, moving on. We have Otori-sama. Otori-sama, I am selling him for $30. I love him dearly. He's something I can easily make. In fact, I have a whip of him right now. And that's why I'm like, I can part with him. I'm selling my only Ponyo that I have left. I know. But again, she was really easy to make. And so I have no doubt that I can just make her again. I'm selling her for $30 as well. I'm also selling 2 of my Totoros for $30 each. Another little Studio Ghibli guy is this Chibi Totoro that I'm selling for $12. I made it forever ago just to put in amongst my Ghibli wall, and Here is the bear that was going to be the start of my woodland series of my chubby friends, or whatever the hell I was going to call it. But honestly, I hate how its face looks, and its ears are too small, and yada yada yada. Here's another plushie that I kind of don't want to sell. She is stunning. I think this was the first plushie that I ever was like really proud of, to say the least. All with brunette velvet. Stunning. I think it was a free pattern, and I have her listed for $40. A little mother goose. I just, oh, I don't know. She might be one that comes with but doesn't go out right away. Another pride and joy of mine is this giraffe that I pattern tested for Crochet by Kelsey. I have this baby listed for 50 bucks. I just love it because it goes red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and then all of the rainbow little speckles. It was such a cool pattern test. I ended up inspiring Kelsey to make her own little rainbow version, and I really like it. But again, it sits up on that shelf, and I maybe look at it like once a month, maybe. I feel like somebody else will really love it. And money. Money, please. I need to pay off my student loans. Another pattern test is this whale shark. I know I've said I would never sell any of my whale sharks, but this was a pattern test I did. It really wasn't that terrible. And I know one of the cheerleaders specifically really, really wants it. I do unfortunately have to price it a bit higher, and so I have it going for $42. You can fit your hand in the mouth, and it was Loso? Maybe no-so? Loso? I think it was Loso. I like it. I don't know if I love its fins. They're a little bit too round for my preference. This acrylic no face took me so long, and it was really essential for putting up like the digital pattern and like taking pictures of how to do things, just because acrylic is easier to see. And I hate touching acrylic, so I'm going to sell it. I have it listed for $35. It would so be worth way more if I literally just didn't hate touching acrylic. Another pattern test. This was a pattern test for Courtney at Loved Knots. These are her little pumpkins. I don't remember what they're actually called. Pumpkin pals, pumpkin, something, I don't know. But this is the fox. I don't love the fox. I didn't do a very good job on its nose. I love the deer. And the bunny. I'm selling them for $14 a piece. Can you tell that 14 is one of my favorite numbers, apparently? Here's another plushie that I'm a little bit sentimental about. It was, again, one of my, like, wow, I'm actually getting good at crocheting creations. This is a t-shirt cat. I think it was supposed to be like Pusheen, but I just changed the colors. It's not stuffed very well. Its eyes, I don't think, are an even space apart. And I have it listed for $18. The stuffing in it is not high quality stuffing. You can feel where it's denser in some spots. And yeah. My last two creations from Raven J Co. I have this bonnet mouse. I will be selling her for $45. I really like the color of the bonnet. My mom doesn't. Fine. And then I have this puppy. I haven't said much about this puppy. I did have the mouse and the puppy living back there. And, yeah, puppy. Some freaking YouTube royalty right here. We have my Scrappy monster. If you haven't seen the video, I made this guy using all my scrap yarn that I randomly selected. I am selling this guy for $32 because he was, for one, a pain in the butt to make, and he's YouTube royalty. We're down to the last 5 items. I have this old flamingo float that I will be selling for $15. I feel like it would be really cute if a little frog sat in it. Here is another leggy frog that I was keeping for my collection, but I decided to part with because I can make another. And I sell my leggy frogs again for $11. I have another pattern test for Crochet by Kelsey. I never realized how many times I pattern tested for her. This is a pink ladybug. I do not like the way the French knots turned out. I don't like the colors I picked, etc., etc. I've had her for a long time. And I have lowered the price to being only $20. We'll see. I don't know. I have kind of some bug items this market. Last in this category are my, what I like to call chocolate bunnies. I am selling them for $15 a piece. You can't really see the brown one's face. Trust that they are very cute. I made pom-poms for their tail, and I think that was probably the last time I ever made a pom-pom. Last but not least, we have all of the plushies that did not sell at my last market. I have two big gray axolotls. I sell all of my big axolotls that are made with my nap blanket for $27, and I have the gray ones left. I thought I had more than just the gray. Could be wrong. Could also be remembering wrong. I have 3 cherries left. I have my sour cherries, dark cherries, and almost like tattoo cherries where they're like super, super bright, fun colors. I sell all my cherries for $20, and I'm considering lowering the price. I have a sea monster. This was a pattern test for Poms and Posies that I have listed for 40 bucks. Again, with some of these bigger things, if they are not being purchased, I might go through with some whiteout and lower the prices. I have an angry uterus for $35. I crocheted this when Roe v. Wade was overturned. I have gifted away a different one and sold a different one. This is the only one that remains with me. And again, I'm trying to get as many items as I can. Don't think that I'll have that out on display right away, but maybe at the end I will. And maybe I'll find like somebody's gynecologist or something that will want to buy it. I have 2 no faces. This one is the one that I hate. He is $25. And I have this one that's really good, who is covered in fuzzies, and he is $40. Sticking with the bigger plushie sort of theme, I have my little fox with a bonnet. This is a pattern by Raven Jig Co. that I have priced at $45. I used a really nice like fuzzy yarn for the ears and the tail. I think he's really cute. Maybe a little overstuffed, but come on, he's cute. I have this deer by Raven Jig Co. that I kind of don't want to sell, but at the same time could easily make another. And so I am selling her for $45 as well. And she is very big. Like, they're nice, bigger plushies. I have a bunny with a bonnet that I'm selling for only $40 because it's really, like, not that hard to make. And it's only one color. And I don't know if I love the color. Sticking with this Raven Jig Co. theme, I have 5 Raven Jig Co.'s Groovy flowers. I have this one that has pink sparkles and... is this the new one? The Demi Pearl legs. Classic dark teal and dark green legs. Ugh. White petals and variegated legs. Purple petals, pink middle. And last we have a pink and teal legged, I was just gonna say frog, it's a flower. I sell all of my flowers for $30 and I sell my chubby cats for $32. They haven't done very well lately because I usually have my other cats, but these are the only cats I'm going to have at the market. So I hope that they can sell. I do remember that this event last year was the first time I ever brought them to an event, I think, and they all sold. So I'm hoping that the same thing happens this year. At my last market, I sold the pink version of this alligator, but I still have this teal one left that I'm selling for $32 as well. Huh. Don't you love it when I like line up everything price-wise? It's not intentional. Next, I have a one-of-a-kind Brewster from Animal Crossing. This is the little guy who works in the museum coffee shop. Here's his little cup and saucer. I pattern tested him forever ago, and I have him listed for $22. Is he worth $22? He's probably worth more. Do I no longer want him? Yes. Another rando is this husky. I sell the husky and all of the dogs for $22. Sticking with the $20 theme, I have my Junimos. I sell my Junimos for $20 on the dot. I have 2 pastel pink 2 hot pink. Can you tell I used the wrong hook size? And I have 1 teal. Bing, 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 bing. I only have 2 baby axolotls. I have 1 in the demi pearl orange and 1 in the matching gray. And I sell my baby axolotls for $17. I'm bringing 11 chickens. They're all different colors. You've seen them all before. I'm not showing you them. The 1 stress pet I mentioned previously. Who needs a tag? But honestly, I don't really care. The last of my fruits and veggies, I have my pineapple for $20, my mushroom for $8, and my green onion / leek for $8. I only have 3 Poms and Posies Dumbo Octos remaining. I have a sort of burnt-ish orange, yellow, and blue. It is giving primary colors, and I'm here for it. I have, I think, like 7 of these rainbows. This is my own pattern that's unreleased, and I keep promising to release it, and I sell them all for $10. Don't look at the mouth that I messed up. $10 a piece. Only 2 swinging pets remain from my like ginormous batch making series, or maybe they all sold. I don't remember. But the only 2 remain are a green frog and a black axolotl that both don't really want to swing on their swings. And I'm not going to fix it because they're just going to go back in the bin. I have a fishy who's upside down. Fishy. I'm selling him for $7. This was a pattern test for G Beans Crafty's book that you can see right there. I only had 2 turtles left from my last market, both of which are made with the exact same yarn. A dark green shell and a greenish, bluish, grayish variegated body. Probably should never do this color combo again. Remember that. I have 2 eggs. I sell my eggs for $12. I think they're really silly, and I always place them next to the chickens. Last in this bin of things that didn't sell at my last market, we have an eagle. I changed the price on this eagle from what it was before, I don't even remember, to being $14 to match the penguins. I did not do the same with the owl because the owl was not no-sew, and it's literally only a $2 difference. So that is everything that did not sell at my last market. That is everything that I took from my own personal collection. And that is everything I crocheted since my last market. I am back. I have my list of all my sales from the 14-hour day. It's got quite a bit. I also have some other notes and things to talk about. I had some really amazing experiences at this market. Let's dive into it. And yes, by the end of this 14-hour market, after waking up at 4:30 in the morning, my mom and I were beyond delirious. Setup was super easy. In fact, I think a lot of the people had set up the day before Friday. I worked both jobs on Friday. Both jobs? I think I worked both jobs Friday, and pre-setting up, I'm like, I'm fine. It only takes me like an hour, maybe 45 minutes to set up my booth. So we got parking right next to the door that we can go in. And for Christmas, I was gifted, or I requested to be gifted, this rolling like dolly thing. And so we ended up making it all within, I think, 2 trips. I like to use plastic bins. I bought them before I knew about like the plastic bags. So that made moving everything in super easy, because you do kind of have to navigate through like this auditorium sort of thing. Originally, I thought I was going to be out like in the lobby again, where people have to show their tickets to get in, but I was wrong, and I actually was with all of the other vendors. My spot before, I did have extra room, and I brought an extra 8-foot table and then a 4-foot table. I didn't have room for that 8-foot table, so I ended up using the table they provided, which was 8 feet, plus the 4-foot table that I brought myself. Here is the clip of my current setup. I honestly don't know if I really like it. It was a little meh compared to last year's, and honestly some of my other current, more recent events that I've done. I was selling a lot of bigger plushies, again, because I rated my own collection, and so it just had to be what it was. You know, it just had to be. It had to be. I also always just managed to get put in front of like the ugliest freaking walls at markets. I try and take such cute pictures and videos of my stuff, and the background walls are sometimes just ugly. They're ugly. I try and use like the portrait mode and edit the picture. There's only so much a girl can do. I did get set up by 7:30 a.m., which was like the sort of cutoff, which is when coaches and cheerleaders began to arrive at the event. And I still don't really understand like how the whole competition day goes. They had a schedule. I don't think they sent it to vendors. But based on what we were saying, it was like different age groups, and then within that different skill levels. I don't get it. But one of the other people there came up and was looking at my stuff, and then spilled the beans that a different vendor registered to sell customized cups, but actually was just setting up and selling all crochet plushies. And I was like, oh, you know, I was here last year. I have a pretty good relationship with a lot of these cheerleaders. I see them at multiple events a year. I think it'll be pretty okay. I mean, I was a little bit bummed because I was like, oh wow, like you said you were going to sell one thing and now you're selling a different thing. And again, I was talking with this other vendor who was selling, I can't remember what she was selling. I think she was selling flowers, and she was like, yeah, this seems to be like a thing more often that she's noticing, where people will register to sell one thing but then actually show up and sell different stuff. That never crossed my mind to ever like do that. If that was true, seems kind of shitty. Not my circus, not my problem, whatever. I'm just gonna be here and vibe and sell my stuff, which ended up going pretty well. Starting off, I sold one of my newest octopi for $17. Then, okay, if you watched my last vlog, there is this one cheerleader who has now bought 2 turtles from me. They bought one last year, they bought one at STMA, and then at STMA they requested that I bring in a whale shark because they follow me on Instagram and they really wanted a whale shark. So I brought in a whale shark that I pattern tested a year ago-ish, and they ended up coming to my booth right away, right when they got there, and was like, oh my gosh, it's you, blah, blah, blah. And so then I had not put the whale shark out yet because I just wanted to like make sure they maybe saw it first. I did warn them that it was kind of a bit of a higher price. I warned them at STMA and that day, and they ended up buying the whale shark for $42, and they were so excited. It was absolutely adorable. I would say they're like one of my absolute favorite customers. The vibes, like their whole team is just incredible, so sweet. And I was so excited that they, for one, was like, oh my God, like you could just hear them scream from like across the lobby and run over with their friends. That was really fun. I'm really happy that one of my Will Sharks went to such a amazing person, because usually I'm like, nope, these Will Sharks are mine, they're a part of my collection, but I'm really happy to have gotten them one. Next, I sold a teal penguin for $14. I then finished 2 frogs and a stress pet, and I tagged those and put those out. By then it was 8:30ish. I crocheted another stress pet, was not having many sales. That was when I think a lot of people were just like getting into the event, and maybe they were running late and trying to go and like watch their team perform. By 10 a.m. the story changed. I sold a rat for $14, 2 chicks for $8 a piece, another teal penguin. This was my first time selling the teal penguins, and they did well. I sold the mallard for $32. This was my first time ever making that mallard, and so many people had like picked it up and looked at it, but then kind of set it back down. I'm very happy to say that somebody saw it, fell in love with it, bought it right then and there. And so I now know that those kind of like laying down ducks, mallards, whatever, are good. And I think I priced them pretty fairly. I mean, I think I did the math, or I did what I did when I sold it in Monticello like 2 years ago. I don't know anymore. I then sold 2 otters for $14 a piece. And then I think one of the cheer dads or somebody there, this guy, was walking by and like looking at my stuff, and I wrote down what he said. He was like, these are better than Jellycat. They have such a personality, and their eyes are just so like alive. Thank you so much. He didn't end up buying anything, but that compliment alone, so sweet. Oh, and then sold, oh my gosh, yeah. I then sold the pink bunny. That is the Raven Jade Co. Bunny with the bonnet. I sold her for $40. I sold I think I sold the duck, but I think I wrote down the wrong price. I then had a 3-item purchase. I sold an otter, an axolotl, and a chicken. I sell my otters for 14, axolotls for 17, so that means it was the baby one, and a chicken for 16. I sold one of the chubby bunnies for $14. I sold a baby turtle for $17. I also sold the pineapple for $20. My mom was ecstatic that I sold the pineapple. Every time anybody like picked it up or whatever, she's like, that one's my favorite. It's been to so many markets. I mean, it's only been to a couple, but still. She's like, and nobody's bought it. And then this little girl decided that she wanted the pineapple. So I thought that was really cute. I sold a pink flower for $30. I made another 2-item purchase. I think this was for 2 little girls that were best friends. I sold one of the baby mallards and a baby penguin. Next, I sold a frog for $11, a big turtle for $27, a rat for $14, and then I think I ran off to like go to the bathroom, and so we have my mom's notes now, and she was so excited as well to sell the green onion, or the leek. She literally wrote, "Leek, baby." She sold it for $8, and then she also sold a cherry for $20. She was very excited to tell me that. I have some random like pattern notes that I was doing as I was just like crocheting there. Sold the tutu frog for $32. I've had that frog for a while. This was, I think, it was one of the most recent plushies I've added from my own personal collection. I pattern tested that frog for Crochet by Kelsey. I did the tutu mod just on my own because I really liked the pattern, but I sold that frog for $32. I sold another rat for $14. I sold a chubby hippo, one of my own designs that I just gave up years ago, for $27. They were a pretty big hit with the cheerleaders. They really loved stacking them. Because of course they're cheerleaders. I sold the eagle for $14 to a mom whose daughter I think is either in high school or college, and their Mascot is also an eagle. I sold a mushroom for $8, a big turtle for $27, one of the swinging axolotls for $12. I really hardly brought any swinging pets. I really dropped the ball on that. Probably should have brought more. I did bring the baby chicks, baby birds, whatever, and so I thought, oh, that'll make up for it, and I think it did. Then sold a baby turtle for $17, another swinging pet for $12, a chick for $8, another baby turtle for $17, a rat for $14, and by then it was 2 p.m. So I sold all of those in about 4-ish hours, doing pretty well. There were definitely some moments of like, you know, where I'm like, oh God, what did I do? Like, am I gonna make my booth be back? But then, you know, after this kind of happened, I was like, okay, it'll be okay. It'll be fine. I'll be fine. You know, again, there's still other sections of cheerleaders that have to like get there and compete. So it's not everybody's just there. I also do think that they had less people attending than they thought, because I think their estimations were before the how do I want to say it, before the invasion of frozen water. And so yeah, and even then I was like, ooh, after that was happening, I was thinking about this, and I was just kind of, I mean, again, I was really not feeling it. You could kind of tell from my last video where I'm just like, oh my God. I'm glad I went still, but I was even having doubts about like going and stuff like that. Anyways, at 2:05 p.m., because I was like, oh shoot, I need to check in. I think I did do a little recording of my booth or of myself, so I'm going to put it right here, and then we're going to go into what sold. All right, at 2 p.m., I sold an elephant for $27. That was a part of my Chubby Buddies pattern that I never released. I then sold a penguin for $14. Somebody who had bought a baby mallard came back to look at everything again, which I thought was really funny. I sold one of my chubby cats, the calico, for $32. I then made a $70 sale. I sold my teal alligator to a little boy who had seen it before and had like a whole breakdown about it. I felt bad, but again, like the alligator I think was $30 bucks, I don't know, whatever, but he was like on the floor crying, and I felt bad, and the parents were like, nope, whatever. And so then they had come back, and he was like, do you still have the alligator? Oh yeah, I just like moved it, because I'd like to go out and move stuff around. And so they ended up getting an alligator for him, the other cat, the other $32 chubby cat, and then a $6 stress pet for a $70 purchase. I then had another returning customer from STMA. The amazing lady who bought my ponyo came back and saw my stuff, and she's like, I have to get a no face. So she got my $25 no face because she told me she bought ponyo, sent a picture to her best friend, and her best friend was like, oh my gosh, did you get that for me? And she had to go, no. So she was very excited that I still had my Studio Ghibli stuff, and now she bought a no face for her best friend, which I thought was really cute. I then sold what did I sell? I sold another cherry for $20. I then sold my Mama Made Minis, that big deer that I was kind of on the fence about, but somebody was really like asking about deers, and so I sold that one for $45. Back to some of the more littler sales, I sold a crab for $8 and a frog for $11. Turning the page, I sold a turtle for $27, and then I sold a blue Dumbo octopus for $14. This is a pattern by Poms and Posies. I sold a baby penguin for $8 and a baby turtle for $17. 3-item purchase. I sold an egg for $12, a penguin for $14, and a rainbow for $10. I don't remember if I showed you guys the rainbows. I think I might have. They weren't out originally, but I was selling stuff, so I tossed them out. You know, why not? Move things around, get new stuff out. Then sold a baby turtle for $17, a bunny for $14. I made another 2-item sale, a penguin and a chicken, a penguin and chicken. And then I have a little note here that the people who bought the penguin and the chick told me that they bought a axolotl from me last year, and that the little girl sleeps with that axolotl every single night. And I'm just like, oh my god, it's so cool, you know, seeing people again and having them, I mean, obviously buy stuff, but tell me how much they love the stuff that I made. I just really like making the stuff, obviously, and I like selling it and, you know, whatever, but hearing how much like people still have it and still love it and cherish it is seriously like the coolest thing ever, and not something I really thought I would ever experience when really starting this business. It's one of my favorite things. Anyways, I then sold 2 penguins for $14 each. I sold a Totoro for $30, baby turtle for $17, and the Raven J. Co. dog for $45. I think, based on the handwriting, I think it was my mom who was there running it, and I was probably off getting us food because I remember when I came back, she was like, I sold the dog. I remember now. Yeah, so my mom sold those. Maybe I'll say we sold a penguin for $14, and it was to a couple, and the lady there said that they had bought, I think, a couple things or whatever, or one thing from the other crochet vendor, and then they were telling us about how overpriced they were, and I was just like, oh yeah, I'm like, I really try and keep my stuff affordable or have a really wide range of what I sell. And she was like, yeah. And so then she bought a penguin. Thank you. Then I sold a bunny for $14, a stress pet for $6, and then I made another 2-item sale, an egg for $12, and one of my newest octopi for $17. Another stress pet for $6. And then there was this cutest little girl who was, I swear she was like dressed up like Where's Waldo, the cutest little quirkiest thing ever. And she ended up getting the little flamingo floaty and the frog for a total of $26. And my mom and I were just like, oh my god, she's so cute. I then sold a frog for $11, and I had another moment where they were like, oh my gosh, you were here last year and we bought an egg from you. And I was like, oh yeah, probably. And then as I'm like grabbing their cash, he holds up an egg, and I'm like, oh yeah, like, I'm like, yep, those are what my eggs look like. And then I looked closer at it. That's the egg he bought a year ago. He pulled it out of his sweatshirt pocket. This has happened to me twice now. So cute. And they're like, oh yeah, he loves it, whatever. I mean, it had a little bit of a wear and tear, but that's because he's like, what, 6? Maybe 8. It was hilarious. He was wearing a sweatshirt like I am, and he just pulls it out of his sweatshirt pocket. And my mom and I are like losing it. So that was really, really cool. Then sold 2 little baby mallards to some BFFs. I sold a frog for $11. Also sold a chicken for $16 and one of my new octos for $17 to one person. And that person then was also telling me that these people, I mean, like unprompted, was telling me that my crochet was much better, much cuter, much higher quality than the other people's. And I was just like, oh, thank you so much. You know, I've been crocheting for 6 years. They're like, your color palette. And they're like, it's so much better over here. Oh, thank you. I'm like, I don't really know how to respond to that, because how do you respond to that? If you have ideas, let me know. But I was like, damn, okay, thanks. So they bought the I think the chicken and the octo. Yeah, I can't remember. My handwriting is such a mess. I sold another penguin and a turtle. Another 2-item sale, both of which were $14 a piece. I sold a penguin and an otter. I sold a baby turtle for $17, a turtle for $27, a yellow Dumbo octopus. Again, Poms and Posies, shout out Megan. Another penguin for $14. By this point, I'm really happy that I brought 19 penguins because holy crap, I brought 19 penguins and they're selling a lot. The dark teal variegated octopus for $17. I don't really know why I didn't write down the colors of the other ones. Probably because it was busy and I was exhausted. I then sold the lion from my Chubby Buddies pack thing. It's not even a pack because I don't have the patterns. Well, I mean, I have the patterns, but they're old. I sold a bunny for $14, a rainbow for $10, another flower for $30. I then sold 2 otters separately for $14. I made another double baby bird sale, a mallard and a penguin. Sold another penguin, but that was the bigger one for $14. I sold a Chibi Totoro for $12 to a really cute little girl. And I took a note that the new octopi that I make, I'll show you a picture here, the kids always like set on their heads, and I think it's so funny. Like every single kid, whenever they get one, they like come up with it right on their head. They see, and then they like are like, here you go. Okay, must be a thing. It must be a thing. 4 item purchase. I sold a penguin for $14, a turtle for $17, an otter for $14, and an octopus for $17. And I believe that was a grandma shopping with her grandkids, from what I remember. I then sold a leggy frog for $11. This little girl who was a cheerleader and her mom came and got one because the little girl got one from me last year, but now her brother steals hers, so they bought him his very own, and I thought that that was kind of silly as well. I sold a penguin for $14. I sold the freaking ugly bear for $20 and a large turtle for $27 to one person. Freaking hated the bear. It was ugly. But the little girl loved it, and I saw her running around playing with it a lot, so that made me happy, even though I thought it was ugly. I sold 2 penguins for $14. I sold 2 otters to somebody for $28. And I sold the very last of my 10 otters I brought for $14. So by then, all of the otters gone. I brought 10. Sold a bunny for $15 or $14. I can't tell if I put the right thing down. Sold a cat for $45. For context, this is February 18th. So that means it's been almost 3 weeks since this market. What cat did I have? Oh, Mama Made Minnie's cat. Mama Made Minnie's cat for $45. That's why. I sold the baby Mama Made Minnie's deer for $25. And then we had some really funny kids that were just at the booth. They were the younger siblings of a cheerleader. And we were talking about, I don't even know what we were talking about. At this point, I think it was like 4 p.m.-ish. We've been up for 12 hours. Crazy. The little girl was telling us a story about her younger brother, how he put a bead up his nose and they had to go to the hospital. Then my mom said like, oh yeah, I did the same thing when I was little. And because my mom does emergency room billing, she said, she told them about like the weird hack that doctors use where they have their mom, I think, breathe into the baby's mouth and then have like the one nostril closed and then the bead or whatever will come out. And then my mom went, yeah, I won't ever do that again, you know, about putting a bead in her nose. And then she goes, how about you, to the little boy? And he just goes, I might. And I mean, we were cackling about it because it was just so like, I might. It was very funny. Actually, that probably was way later than 4. I was probably like 6 or 7 because now I have a note that it was 7:25 after knowing for a long time, a repeat customer, one of the boys who bought a frog came back to get a dark green frog to go with his. So that was cute. We had another repeat customer who bought a penguin. This was one who had previously bought a rat that day. Sold another octo for $17. By then it was 7:42. Again, you can kind of tell it's slowing down because I'm writing more of the times down. I sold the very last of my 19 penguins. I sold a husky for $22 to one of the families that bought a penguin and an axolotl as well. The other frog in overalls for $30. Leggy frog for $11. I then sold the owl for $16. And at 8:53, I had my very last purchase, which was the pink ladybug that I also pattern tested for Crochet by Kelsey, and I hate the way that it turned out. Not her fault at all. The colors I picked were trash. I sold that for $20. And that is everything I sold. I'm going to go to my inventory sheet right now, and I'm going to tell you how much money that was because I don't remember. 115 items worth $2,075, which means 2,075 minus 311 means I made approximately $1,764. Did not keep track of the food that we bought, so it's probably more like $1,740 maybe. Gas as well. I do now own my car, so I can do that as a write-off. That's the recap. This is a 35-minute clip. Yeah. Sorry it took me so long to, well, post this, even though it's only been a week since I really kind of posted. Whatever. It's a whole thing. I do have another market in March. I have a 3-day market or 2-day market in May. I'm debating signing up for one in June. I have one in July, and I'm also debating signing up for one in September. And then boom, it's already like almost November, December, where we'll be back doing these cheerleading competitions. Yeah, I think that's it, honestly. I don't really have anything else to say. Tear down, super easy because I had that rolling dolly. Heck yes. Huge shout out to my mom for sticking with me that whole freaking like 15, I don't even know how many hour long day. Huge thank you to my dad for helping me load the car, for helping us get there and then coming back and picking us up. I could not do this without them. So thank you, Mom and Dad. Huge thank you to the MCCA team, organizers, leaders. The event was always super well organized and one of my favorites. And obviously a huge thank you to anybody who was there, who stopped by and talked to me, said some kind words, purchased something. I could not be doing this without you guys. That is going to be it. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!